Welcome to Not Starving Artist, the podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Benson, money coach and equity actor. I am your financial cheerleader, here to help you build your financial confidence and have power over your money. The best part, no budgeting or bi-weekly paychecks required. I went from being a broke BFA grad having weekly panic attacks about money to a financially confident, wealth-building actor and business owner. Money gets to feel fun, simple, and sexy, and I am going to show you how. Hey everyone, welcome to my brand new podcast series, Inside One-on-One Coaching, where I'm giving you an inside look on what a private money coaching call is actually like, and to show you how much can shift for you from just one single coaching session. These episodes are real one-on-one coaching calls. Some are with current and past clients, and some are people I've never coached before, and everyone has given permission for these calls to be shared with you here. A full one-on-one coaching package is 3 months long with weekly coaching sessions, unlimited text and voice messaging support with me, and access to the full video curriculum from my signature group coaching program, Cashed Up Creatives. One-on-one coaching is for creatives, business owners, and those of you whose brains just have a hard time following traditional money advice. You'll get personalized strategy and support to help you understand your numbers without a spreadsheet, fully fund your savings, invest your first $1,000, spend money guilt-free, and finally build a relationship with money that feels easy and supportive. The investment for this package is $4,000 or 3 monthly payments of $1,400. You can book a sales call with me to learn more about one-on-one coaching and what that would look like for you, and the link is in the show notes. Let's get to it. Hi, Anish.
Nice to meet you.
So as we start today, I'd love for you just to give like a quick rundown of who you are, what you do, what's your vibe.
Yeah, I'm an actor in the North Carolina area.
Also, North
I have
Carolina, that's where I grew up.
Yes, we've actually met before.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
wait, can you remind me?
yes, you helped my class at Chapel Hill during the pandemic with a lovely online seminar.
Jeez, I forgot about that. That is amazing. So you're graduated now.
I'm graduated.
Oh, a big
Turns
old
out
grad.
there's more money stuff outside of college than inside of it.
For sure.
But I've been acting on and off since I graduated, which was about 4 years ago now. And yeah, I've my main sources of income are real estate, which I've been doing since college,
Mhm.
um, acting,
Mhm.
uh, and recently just on and off production work,
Yeah.
TV shows, a movie here and there, a commercial.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's amazing. So as I was reading through your form, right, one of the big things that I was seeing was like having a list of financial goals, a checklist, how to like achieve the things you want to achieve. So we can talk about that today, but I'd also love to know like what right now, right? Like regardless of what you put on this form, right now, what's been on the forefront of your brain or what feels like it's weighing the heaviest on you financially?
Uh, the fact that I've not confronted the beast.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly I'm in a place of fear when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to money, because of these narratives about, starving artists.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about it more makes me anxious. So
Mm-hmm.
on a whole, that prevents me from taking action.
Mm-hmm.
But even if I were to take action, um, I don't have clear goals with where I want my money to be. It's more nebulous. I want to be able to go out and not have to worry about paying for a nice dinner every now and then. I want to buy my friends gifts and not
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are the like nebulous terms. Um, and I don't have like 5 year, 10-year plans as of now. And on top of that, the problem I have is like the decision to move to a new location
Mm-hmm.
that involves financial considerations.
Mhm.
So it's the lack of clarity that I think is what's bothering me the most. I don't know if that can be solved in 30 minutes, but
Oh, we're gonna
uh,
try.
we'll try. I'm
So
looking forward
so
to
what I want to say is the it makes sense that you haven't wanted to use your words, like confront the beast, right? Like do the financial things because there's no clear what you want, right? Like there's nothing that's heavy enough that's tipping the scales to confront the beast, right? You're like, well, if all I really desire is like stability question mark, then sitting down to look at your numbers to feel whatever feelings might come up, guilt, shame, overwhelm, fear, whatever. Of course you're not going to do that because stability question mark isn't a strong enough desire and want. So
Yeah.
let's go there first. What are your creative goals? What do you want 5 years from now, creatively?
I want to be uh, enjoying acting,
Uh-huh.
um, and collaborating with uh, fellow peers to make cool pieces of art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to be in a larger market.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which market?
I think Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you're still in North Carolina, right?
I'm still in North Carolina.
Cool. North Carolina is great, but yeah, I was just confirming.
That's lovely.
Um,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, the goal has always been make a living off of acting exclusively, but that is not something that can be guaranteed,
Mm-hmm.
even by the best of actors.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to
So,
make a living purely off of acting?
um, so I don't have to do anything else. Logistically, I'd rather just, wouldn't it be nice to just do the thing?
Okay. Let me, I'm gonna burst that bubble here for a second because I think that's a very common thought of like, if I could just act, I would be so much happier because I wouldn't have to do bullshit I don't want to do, right? And it will make me enjoy acting more because I'm only doing acting. Where if you look at every successful actor who is out there, once they become successful, they're not just doing
They're
acting.
not just acting. Yeah.
Right. Because once you hit that, then it's like, okay, well, now what? Right. There is no human being out there. There's no artist out there that could be fully fueled by only their art, right? Because you need other fuel sources to fuel your art, right? So, like, yeah, go ahead. What came up?
Well, for me, the thing on top of that is like I do real estate right now, and
Mhm.
it's nice to interact with clients and all that. I don't find that it personally fuels my art.
Sure, of course not.
But financially, like definitely,
Okay.
very thankful for
So that right there, I think is the key for every single artist to understand is the reason you want to do only acting is because you can't fathom a world in which the other things that you do are exciting and bring you money. Like you can't fathom a world in which you have to do bullshit that brings you money in order to also do your art. Like, does that make sense, that difference?
that.
Yeah. So instead of thinking like, I want a world in which I can only do my art, but because that's not possible, let me think of like the least horrible thing that I could do for money that I could also do alongside of it. And then we're like pulling you into realism, right? Of I would just like some stability as an actor. So I'm going to ask you again, what are your creative dreams? What do you want? If I could like wave my magic wand and give you your creative dreams 5 years from now, what would they be?
Okay, let me think for a second because that is a good question and it
Yes.
deserves thought.
And while you think about it, I'm going to give you a minute to think. Wanting what you want and like actually acknowledging the true desires you have is one of the hardest things to do as an artist because you're trained, right, that you can't have it. So let's not want it and expect disappointment, right? So we're just not going to want it at all in case we get disappointed because we don't want to feel disappointment, which then causes you to live just a normal, stable, hard quote actor life.
Uh, I think the place I'll start is certainly I'd like to be acting, but that's just one part of my life.
Mhm.
Um, on top of, you know, just regular creative meetings with cool
Mhm.
people. Um, I would like a job that engages my creative brain,
Mm.
also has enough stress in it to keep me activated day to day instead of just, you know, even if it does have the boring stuff, which all jobs have, the email, the bureaucracy, having enough stress in it that like does keep me engaged.
Yeah. Why do you
Um,
need stress to keep you engaged?
Great question. I think that's just how my brain works. Like things need to be falling apart so I pay attention.
Hmm. Interesting. Clocking that. Continue.
Clocking that.
Mm.
Hmm. Um, but yeah,
What
I'm
kind of
losing track of
acting
time.
do you want to do? And you said create. Okay, so let me pull back to what you were initially saying at the beginning of the call too. Um, your dreams, like what you want 5 years from now, you want to be enjoying acting and collaborating with your peers and living in a larger market. So I'm gonna ask you three questions. Are you enjoying acting right now? Yes or no?
Uh, yes and no.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10, how much are you enjoying?
I know. I'd say five.
Okay. Two, are you collaborating with peers creatively right now?
No.
Okay. Why do you want to live in a larger market?
So I have more access to peers.
Okay. Why are you not collaborating with peers right now? What's in the way?
Um,
Elaborate for me.
um, a lot of projects that I have in my brain, I do not start because I need them to be fully realized in my brain before I start, which is why I say that things falling apart tend to activate my brain because I don't have time to worry about things being perfect because things need to get done now.
Hmm. Okay. So they're being put on the back burner because the more urgent falling apart things are the things that take your attention. Is that what I'm hearing or what?
Uh, the nuance I'll give to that is um, it's not necessarily a back burner thing.
Gotcha.
It's just because I'm a perfectionistic person, I tend to flourish in environments with high stress
Mhm.
because I don't have to think about the details. I just
Sure.
have to do goals.
Okay. So what is keeping you from giving yourself an arbitrary timeline to get something done? Like can you tell me about one of these projects that's in your brain? Like
Um,
so I'm gonna clock this right now that this being said on this recording, this is Anisha's intellectual property. If we see you stealing this idea, it's gone. Legal
no,
action.
no, not at all. Um, there are a lot of creative projects that I'd love to do, and this is part of my 5-year plan. I'm a huge nerd, so
Mhm.
I'd love to like make like a high production like Dungeons and Dragons podcast because that's like something I enjoy for fun, and there's a market need for stuff like that. In
Okay,
terms of
so what do you
entertainment,
need to do in order to create a Dungeons and Dragon podcast?
I already am creating one.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, but it's just with friends and not like terribly high production, but it's like teaching me, basic stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but on a higher level, you need, studios, which you rent, audio editors, audio, knowledge. Uh,
Why does
um,
it need to be high production?
you're asking the perfectionist why it needs to be perfect?
Yeah. Also, even if you have the studio, even if you have the high production, like it's gonna be the same content. Like that, of course, I'm pointing this out, right? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hear
yeah,
what's happening here, but I
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
want you to answer the question, what is the high production value of it going to give it tactically?
My genuine answer is that in a market that's very saturated
Mhm.
and in a market where attention spans are low,
Mhm.
the first few minutes of a product are essential to grabbing somebody's attention and deciding whether somebody can give their time to it. So, giving attention to something to make it that much better will, in my opinion, lead to more traction. However, I like I'm with you right now. I'm making a shitty podcast, but I love it. But like on like a base level, it's less
Is it on
bullish.
Spotify right now?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Read Play Game Pod.
Read, play, game pod. We're looking
Yeah.
at the podcast. Look at this. Okay, cool. Um, okay, hold on. Ready?
We see a light. That's all we see. A light, nothing else. A small light. Until we notice in the light an open book on a table. We can even see almost a few words on it.
Spooky. Oh my gosh, I love
Right?
it.
Yeah.
So what about that first 10 seconds doesn't feel like what do you want that first 10 seconds to look like? But everyone who isn't watching this on YouTube, I just played the first 10 seconds of the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. Again, I guess like we've gotten certainly better at doing it as we've went on, but uh I guess I want
Yeah, what do you want?
I don't know,
What do
like
you want? Like an intro? Like an intro like song thing that plays? Do you want it to
no
be
no
like a
no.
more catchy hook? Like what is the high production thing that you want?
For me it's more like better audio quality and more I think there's a difference between like seeing an indie movie and then seeing a high level production movie. Nothing to say between the quality of those two. I agree with you. Like like sometimes the indie movie is better, but uh
A
I
lot of the times the indie movie is better. You want to know, especially these days, let me just drag Rings of Power for a second.
oh my
Rings
God.
of Power is one of the shittiest pieces
The
of TV that I have ever seen in my entire life. And I am a Lord of the Rings fan, right?
so
Like the
bad.
lore is fascinating, so bad, right? The production quality, the literal like masturbation of like, oh, look at these film shots, these costumes, da da da, and they think they're being like so smart about it, and they're like, this is why we did this. It's garbage, right? The high production does not equal the good storyline or the thing that you want to watch, the thing that entices you, because it's not authentic. Okay. So, why we're talking about this is because, yes, your perfectionist brain is there, but we're going and we're actually talking back to it right now. Of like, you're just hearing it and saying, like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. I'm a perfectionist and this needs to be high production and this needs to be X, Y, and Z. You're forgetting that you can talk back to that part of your brain of like, why? Why does it need to be high production? What are we
Mm.
waiting for? Okay, if it was high production, what would that actually look like? Right? So continue on your train of thought. Like, what is then the high production going to give the podcast?
I guess more relief in myself
Sure.
that
Okay.
it's good. I mean, like it is good. Like, and I have fun making it, and it's just for the fun of making it. We're not doing anything with it, but
What do you want for
uh,
this podcast?
just to have a nice creative outlet to have fun, and then, I mean, if eventually, like, like me and my friends have plans to like go to like local game cons and talk to people and just get more like listeners to, because the whole point of the thing is to showcase people games that they haven't heard of before.
I love
Um,
that. What's
yeah,
keeping you from going to game cons right now?
nothing.
There's something though. What's keeping you from going to game cons right now?
Actually planning it out and
Sure.
doing it.
Okay. How much effort would it be for you to plan out and go to a game con? When's the
Not
next
much.
one?
There's a couple, and some of my friends are talking about going to them.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Cool. So like let's have you go to a game con.
no, genuinely. I when I say I'm a creative person, I mean like that in many aspects
Sure.
because I'm not just an actor. Like I have ideas to like make games or like try out different avenues, but all of those take time, and my problem consistently has been starting tasks.
Mhm.
and finishing them.
Sure. That's not what your podcast tells me, though.
Well, that's
Like,
also because I have so much help from my friends.
sure. Okay. So what's something, and like to tie this, let me tie this back to money here. Why we're going so deep into this with this podcast is because when we're trying to figure out a mindset block or like where any sort of resistance or avoidance is coming from, we want to take a specific example, like go micro and pick it apart and peel it apart to figure out like what are the root things that are happening here, right? So like your brain, when I said like what's a creative project that you like want to move forward, the podcast is what came up, right? That was the first thing that came up. So that's why we dove super deep into it. Now, part of why I wanted to go deep on the podcast too is because I don't think you're allowing yourself to see what this podcast could turn into or desire what you desire from this podcast. What if this podcast became the #1 RPG podcast that people were so lit to listen to? That's exciting. What
Yeah,
if
that
it
was
was
very exciting.
sponsors? What if those sponsors literally gave you the high production quality that you desired? Sure, but it's not on your dime. And also, what if that became the job that supported your lifestyle while you acted? Like, why aren't we dreaming of that?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's the sort of dream. But like it starts very small and there's no guarantee of that sort of success. So it's more planning
Yeah,
the
and what's guaranteed? Real estate?
the
Sure.
the hypothetical mythical job that satisfies all my checkboxes.
Yeah. And this isn't saying like quit your real estate right now and like go full on in the podcast.
I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. If you tell me, I'll do it.
But what we're doing right now is like the reason that the dream scenarios that kind of feel too good to be true won't happen is because of that thought. Well, it has to start small and there's no guarantee. So, like, you haven't gone to a game con yet. You haven't reached out to sponsors. You haven't talked about this podcast on your social media and your Facebook every single day because you're so lit about it and you want everyone to know about it. The reason that that's not happening is because of the thought, well, it's going to be small and like there's no guarantee, which
Mm,
is literally going to make it small and not bring you anything but like a creative outlet, which is also fine. We love creative outlets,
yeah.
but it seems like you're really, really into RPG game playing.
Yeah.
So, like, let's follow that, like, with reckless abandon.
Huh. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, that's true.
That's where all the brilliant businesses always started, is that.
Yeah. I guess I could it's one of those things I could just do for hours and not be too like drained of energy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Then let's put more energy there.
Yeah. And I say all these things because I'm just a doubtful person and like I'll direct things and never show it to people, despite the fact that it's objectively good, I guess.
Why not?
Uh, I just it's like I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some homework here.
Homework.
Some journaling homework, or if you're, love it, the notebook is out. So the homework here is when you ask yourself a question like, I don't show my work that I know is objectively good to other people. Why? You are not allowed to answer that with I don't know. You do know because there's a reason you're taking the action
Okay.
or like not taking the action.
Okay. I
Like, what are you afraid of?
think being bad.
Sure. And like, what if you are going to have some bad shit that gets put out there?
God, the worst.
Sure. Yeah. Like, what happens?
The world explodes. I die. Everyone immolates.
Yeah.
I have a lot of weight on my shoulders carrying that burden of responsibility
You do to save the world, right?
to save the world. Yeah.
Save the world with your RBG podcast. I mean, honestly, though. So what I'm going to give to you here. Anish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right now, the only thing that's keeping you from moving forward with the things that you're actually excited about and that are actually going to move you towards those creative dreams that you desire is the fear of feeling a feeling. You're afraid of feeling ashamed. You're afraid of feeling embarrassed. But at the end of the day, those feelings don't do anything. They're just in your body. You experience them, right? Like, I want you to sit for a second, just like sit for a second. I want you to imagine, right? You post about your podcast on Instagram and someone from high school messages you and says like, "Wow, I just listened to this. Like this was pretty bad. Like
That's hilarious.
who do you think you are posting this kind of podcast? Like this isn't the Anisha I knew, right? Or some bullshit, right? Like
Yeah.
let's say that message comes through. Well, your reaction is giggling about it. Sure. Think of something that would embarrass you. Like what could happen that would make you feel that embarrassment or shame?
Yeah, I guess a similar comment. Wait, I do know.
Yeah, what?
Um, what I'd feel ashamed about is if my family members were like, "What are you doing with this? Like, why are you wasting your time on this?"
Okay. That's the core fear here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the core fear. So that's your homework. I want you to journal about that fear of like, put yourself in. I'm going to give you I call it the fire drill exercise, which is worst case scenario or the thing that you're fearing. Think about it. Put yourself in that situation and then what would you do? Right? So
Yeah.
like let's say your parents have this thought or your family members have this thought and they share it with you. Okay, is it just me having to then feel through that feeling? Right? And then what would I do? Would I hide them from everything I post on Facebook and Instagram, like unfollow them so they can't see it so I don't receive that anymore? Then I can move forward, not being afraid of being visible. Is there a fear that, like a tactical fear of, okay, they think that I'm wasting my time doing this podcast. And now, like, let's say they were supporting you financially. Now my finances are cut off because they don't believe in what I'm doing. Then, okay, what would I do then? Like, is it just a feelings fear or is it a tactical fear? Follow the trail of fear and then fire drill it. What would you do? And do that as many times as you need to when that fear comes up as you're taking action moving forward.
Oh, it's a lovely idea.
Okay, good. So, again, to tie this all the way back, right? You allowing yourself to dream really big about what you actually want. These are the things that are going to have you sitting down to have a money date,
Mm.
right? Because your financial stability, understanding your money and your numbers is what's going to allow you to achieve these big dreams, right? Like tie what these dreams are and these visions are to like tactically what you're doing with your money, right? And actually make them things that you want. Because you don't actually just want to collaborate with peers and have some stability and enjoy acting. You want to have a highly successful RPG podcast
I
while
do.
you do claim it, right? Claim it. And then alongside that, you're on set working on a TV show that casts out of Atlanta where you're now living in your dream apartment in the heart of the city with your, dream scene partner, right? And you're doing like a really cool fantasy thing based on your favorite fantasy book and you're getting to originate that role, right? Like allow yourself to want that. What's coming up?
Yeah. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to want that is a fun phrase
Mm-hmm.
that I do not understand yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So other homework, jot that phrase down and either journal or take a walk and think with that phrase. Allow myself to want, and see what comes up. The
Hmm.
other thing you can ask yourself here is what bad thing could happen from me allowing myself to want insert thing?
Hmm.
What am I
Ah,
afraid will happen if I allow myself to want it?
lovely.
Yeah? How you feeling? How you feeling after this call?
Light.
I'm so glad that that's your feeling.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, so I will be sending all the good energy and good vibes your way. I want you to know I will be waiting to see targeted ads for this podcast in the next year, right? Because now it's the #1 RPG podcast. My
I
sister
mean,
is really into RPG games, so I'm gonna wait for her to drop this title of a podcast she listens to.
yeah, I mean, as much as most of the stuff I say about it is, a reflection of perfectionism. It's actually very good. And
Yeah.
my friends do a really good job with it. We have 1,000 followers on Instagram now, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. Um, we're setting
Why
up a
not? Your
Ko-Fi
podcast
link.
is great. See, this is
It
the thing.
is.
I want you to start expecting your podcast to thrive because you believe it's really good. So
Yeah,
nothing's a surprise when it starts popping off because you've
yeah,
been dreaming about it popping off. So it's not surprising.
yeah.
Okay. And then apply this to everything, not just the podcast. That's your meta coaching.
Lovely. Thank
Hey,
you so much.
it was so lovely to see you again and to coach you, Anish. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, same to you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me on Instagram for more on how to build a simple, sexy relationship with your money. My Instagram handle is @NotStarvingArtists. And if you want to dive deeper with me, head to the show notes to learn more about one-on-one coaching. If you love this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend that you want to get rich with.